Hello folks, Joel here at Earth Tools, and we're going to shoot a little video today on adjusting the forward and reverse linkage on a Grillo G110. I've got other videos talking about the G110 reverser system. I've got a nice elaborate video kind of talking about the mechanism and how it reverses itself and what it does, but it occurred to me that I never actually showed how to adjust the cable. So we're going to do that today. So, quick recap. This is your forward and reverse lever on the Grillo 110. This is in the forward position, makes the tractor go forward. This is in the reverse position, makes the tractor come back. Following this cable down to the transmission to see what it actually moves. Here's our cable coming into the forward and reverse linkage on the transmission. Here's our forward and reverse control lever on the transmission. Here is the rod and spring that sort of guides it and keeps it straight, and this is the cable itself. So when I move this lever on the handlebars, you can see what's happening on the bottom end. The spring here pushes against this linkage to make this lever go up against this stop. That's the limitation stop, telling us how far this lever is supposed to move. It needs to pretty much get close to hitting that stop. It's maybe a half a millimeter off, which is fine. The cable draws the lever back towards the opposite stop. Now, one thing I want to point out right here is that we are just lucky in this video that where this tractor happens to have been shut off, the gears are all aligning in this thing. Sometimes you might move this lever back and forth and it like stops a half an inch from the stop and you're like, well, what's the matter with it? Or for example, the spring doesn't push it all the way back against the opposite stop. Well, it could just be that the gears in the transmission are not lined up properly and they're just hitting each other. So I'll try to do an example of that right now. For example, I will put it in third gear. Let's see, we'll jerk around on it a little bit, see if we can get those gears to roll in it. Nope, didn't get lucky. I can feel it right there. It's, see right there, it's kind of hanging up a little bit. Let's see, I'm trying to screw it up. Yeah, I'm just not having any luck trying to screw it up, but there. Perfect. See? Okay, look, it's off the stop. So you might say, oh, there's something wrong with the reverse cable adjustment. Well, not really in this case. It's just that the gears aren't lined up. So you might have to rock the tractor around a little bit. See, I just moved it a little bit there and it just popped up to the stop. So make sure that you're in a place where you can achieve full, easy adjustments. See there, you missed the stop again. So I gotta move the tractor again a little bit. So, okay, now we've got good movement in both directions. All the way to the stop, all the way to the stop. Now, say that the cable had stretched over time, and when we pull it all the way back, regardless of where the wheels are and the gears and so forth, it's just not hitting the stop. The cable's not bringing it all the way up against the stop. So it's time to adjust the cable. The easy way to adjust the cable is with the adjustment bolt up at the top. That is a standard type adjustment bolt on all these walk-behind tractors. You have a jam nut, which is the larger diameter nut at the base, and you've got the adjustment bolt itself. If you want to tighten the cable to take slack out of the cable to make it pull further, you want to back the bolt out. So you screw the bolt out, which exposes more threads on the bolt. Okay, so I'll back this out like this. Sometimes you can do it by hand. This one's just a little stiff. And then you would screw the jam nut back in and tighten it down to brace it against whatever it's screwed into. It locks the bolt in place to keep it from moving. Now that I've backed that out, I've removed some slack from the system. Now it comes up a little closer to the stop, which is great. Now there's another way to adjust the cable, and that is with the clamp at the bottom that actually retains the cable in place. And if you're going to replace the cable, if the cable is snapped or just stretched so much that it's beyond tolerance, or you left it sitting outside and it got all rusty and nasty, time to replace the cable. So in that case, you'll have to remove the clamp at the bottom. To do that on the Grillo 110, you have to rotate the handlebars around to the front PTO mode. That is, to the position that you would use for mowing. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to hit my handlebar release lever. I've already got the gear shifts removed from this tractor. Well, actually, they haven't been installed yet. This is a brand new tractor, so I don't have to deal with taking the gear shift pins out. I'm going to reverse this around. I'm going to hold this lever down through the whole rotation so I don't scrape the gear shift decal over here. And as I rotate this around, you're going to see this forward and reverse linkage on the side is going to flip itself over. This is part of the inverter system, or the smart reverse system on the Grillo 110, that inverts the forward and reverse function when you turn the handlebars around. So at the halfway point here, right, Ken is reaching down and doing what I should have done, which is redirect the cable so it doesn't kink, because that cable has to flow around the other direction to get to the reverser, because it's all inverted now. Now that it's inverted, the whole function of this thing is changed into a kind of a backwards position, but that means that this is now, that is pulled back on the handlebar is still forward, even though, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Pulled back on the handlebars is still reverse, flip forward is still forward, even though the handlebars are in the opposite mode. So that's what the smart reverse system is all about. So now that we flip this thing around, I can see that my cable adjustment has probably changed a little bit. It's hitting the stop on this side, no problem. Not hitting the stop quite right on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and mimic what this is going to look like if we change a cable. So I'm going to loosen up this 8mm bolt right here. It's 5/16 is the exact same size if you have a standard set. Then I'm going to slide the cable up out of here. Cable's a little kinked, but it's still in acceptable shape. But say this cable was shot, I would take the cable off, throw it away. When you get a new cable, it comes with a new outer sheathing. If you throw away the old cable, make sure not to throw away that piece. That little alignment sleeve is important. It slides up over the cable and it helps align the end of the cable into this hole right here on the bracket. If you don't have that, the sheath just kind of flops around. Now when you, I've got to thread this back through the hole in the clamp here, of course. If you slide this back through and you accidentally like get that little sleeve kind of up on the edge of the hole there, you're going to get a bad adjustment, because you'll go ahead and adjust it properly, but then when this thing vibrates around and goes back down in the hole, now you've got a bunch more slack in your cable. So make sure that's seated down in there well before you start the adjustment process. Now I'm going to grab the end of the cable with the pliers to pull the slack out, and I'm going to use kind of a rotating motion here where I'm bracing the edge of the pliers here against the edge of this lever and just kind of taking all the slack out. I'm using this as a fulcrum point and just kind of twisting it. It's just a way to use leverage to your advantage. And then tighten this down, get it good and snug. Don't put a torque wrench on this thing. This is a very small bolt. We've seen people break those off by getting crazy with them. And now, forward and reverse function looks like it should. A lot closer to the stop, so I've taken some slack out of it. That's great. Yep. And in the forward position, that is when this is flipped to the forward position, that's where you really want it to be up against the stop. If it's pulling into the reverser mode, if it gets within 1/8 of an inch of the stop, that's plenty acceptable. And you're ready to go back to work. And if you need to do the fine adjustment after replacing your cable and tightening the clamp down there, you can always go back up here to the top, do your fine adjustment with that, because that's a lot easier to work with and you're not crimping the cable in a different place every time. So you use the fine adjustment for most of your adjustment needs, and you only use the coarse adjustment when you are replacing the cable, or you just run out of adjustment on your adjustment bolt. That's it. Thanks for watching.